No, Burnette.
No, I guess the best way to get started is obviously the last game in Kenan last year didn't end the way you wanted it to. How would you describe what's happening between then and Saturday night when you walked off the field?
I think the biggest thing for me was just turning to my faith. I found myself at the bottom, like as a kicker. That's the one position you never want to find yourself in. And I was there, and I had to trust in God, and my parents, they had my back, and I just I was like, I've got to make a change. I've got to improve. I didn't finish the season how I wanted to last year, so it's just work. They brought in Co for competition, made me a better kicker. Obviously, when he goes down, I knew I had to step up. That's just the way I've looked at it.
No, Mac was saying that before the kick at the end of regulation, he saw you kind of over by yourself, and he thought about going over and just, trying to lighten you up a little bit, but he decided not to. In those situations, are you like a pitcher during a no-hitter where you just want to stay in your zone, not really interact with anyone else?
100%. Actually, had one of our snappers just make sure everybody stay away. I know they want to be there to support me. When you're out there, you're in your own sort of world. You want to stay locked in on what you have to do.
Was there any doubt at 43-yard? It was kind of looked like it might be leaking a little right on that.
I definitely mishit it. I didn't hit my pure ball. But that's the one thing that I've worked on this season is if I do have a miss hit, it still finds its way through the uprights. And that's exactly what happened.
How often did you play those misses last year through your mind? And some guys, they get rid of it. They don't think about it. Some guys use it as fuel every day. How did you process that?
I definitely haven't been able to get rid of it. It's something that's stayed on my mind. You get reminded about it a lot more than I would like. And obviously going out there, it's the same uprights on the right upright. A little bit farther back, but it's just going towards the blue zone. I hadn't made a field goal there all last year. And I knew I needed to change that narrative. And so I went out there, but once I was out there, I just sort of blacked out, forgot about it, and then it went through. And it's a huge relief off my shoulders knowing that.
I would imagine it makes for a long off season.
What was that?
I would imagine it makes for a long off season. So I don't know, does it go from disappointment to anger to straight up fuel, or how is there a layering process and how you get through that to get you to this point where you are now?
It definitely was fuel to the fire, especially with it being at the end of the year and it being such a big game. It's something that every time you're out there kicking, you're like, I'm not going to let that happen again. It was continuously on my mind, but being able to go and make that kick, it definitely helps me sort of move on from that happening.
Not long after the game, the quarterback of the team who might be in here tweeted Noah Burnette, I love this team. When you see something like that, that's got to mean a lot to you too. He had a pretty good game himself. He was thinking, and he called you clutch after the game and said he might have been the MVP of the game.
Man, that's awesome. Drake's a great guy. He's not one of those dudes that just overlooks specialists. He knows that when it comes down to do what we have to do, it can be hard. He knows the pressure too. Like I say, kicking and quarterback, both the mental pressure of it, they're both up there. So just being able to have that support from such a great player is awesome.
Noah, what did preparation look like for you over the course of the offseason? I know you mentioned a lot about, going to your faith and things of that nature, but I guess from a preparation standpoint, was there anything, different that you did or anything like that getting ready for this year?
For me, I definitely focused on getting stronger, and also just working on sort of my mindset when I go to kick, and being able to sort of block out all the other noise.
And then you mentioned getting stronger. What are the different, workouts you do to, I guess increase your range or anything like that?
So kickers do a lot of single leg workouts, sort of just growing mass on the thighs, and then even when it comes to increasing bench and stuff, just trying to get my body just bigger in general, so I can have more power on the ball when I go to kick.
No, it's 18 of 19 for you on the season. Just the one miss. Has there been a kick or a game since you took over where you've felt like, I'm sort of in a good groove here and this thing is working like I want to? Is there a moment where you sort of realize like, I'm kicking it great?
So the Pitt game, sort of, I started feeling pretty good, but I think the Syracuse game was when I started getting my ball contact where I wanted it to be. And obviously in the Duke game, that was sort of split up. I didn't hit my best balls in the Duke game. But just finding a way to make them go through the uprights, that's really what I'm worried about. And I know that ball contact's going to come with me continuing just to focus on getting it through the upright.
It looked like the one that forced overtime, the dude off the left edge almost got there. Like, when we watched it back, I mean, was he laid out, was he pretty close to getting that?
I mean, I have no idea. That's the good thing about being in your own world is you look back at it and he was a lot closer than I thought. I didn't even see him. But yeah, I think that might have been with me being maybe a little slow. I don't really know what happened there, but
Looked like Jabari might have missed a block.
yeah, I mean that edge position is hard. You're just sitting there taking it, and those guys are awesome.
Speaking of being in your own world, what do you do during games? I know that, like when Drake and the offense go to the bench, Drake gets on the headset, they're talking to their position coaches and stuff. The defense does the same thing. What are you doing during the course of a game?
So when offense is on the field, I'm over there by the kicking net, just preparing for whatever might happen. I mean, with our offense, they could go out there first play 75 yards, and you're going out there to kick the extra point. So I'm always prepared when they're going. For the defense, I like to watch them a little bit, support them. And when it comes to time, if they force a punt, I mean, I'll go over there and hit one because, we saw Huzzy's punt return. So just always sort of being ready for when we're going to score. And then once we cross about the 45, 50, I start going over there and hitting balls just in case we get in the field goal range.
So when you're over there at the net, imagine you're watching the Jumbotron every once in a while on the video board, you see where they're going. At what point do you lock in thinking, okay, I might be on the field here at some point? Is there a difference in how you approach things at that moment as opposed to previously? Or just kind of take us through what your personal routine is there.
So I'd say once they cross half field, that's sort of, you're like, all right, it's time to get ready. They're great at getting the ball down the field, so I know once they cross midfield, it's a very good chance we're either going to score a touchdown or we're going to get some sort of points out of it. So for me, it's just when I'm in that moment, it's when I'm hitting into the net, it's hit a ball. If it feels good, sort of relax, see what's going on, then go back to it, hit maybe one more. And I found myself last year kicking a lot more than I wanted to during games, so that's something I really tried to work on is sort of slowing down and just making sure that I get those good reps when I'm hitting the ball.
What did that do? Why did you change that part?
I changed it because I found it really had an impact on sort of the health of my leg. I found myself being a lot more sore after games. And that's just what comes with kicking. Just you're continuing to work that one muscle. There's a couple muscles in your leg, so I know just instead of hitting 3 reps every time they get a first down, just hit 1 or 2 and make sure it feels good.
The Duke calls timeout right before the last kick, which I'm sure you were expecting, they would probably do. Just what goes through your mind? Is it hard to stay focused on what you're doing and stay in the moment, as you say, or you got 50,000 people looking at you, and you know what's on the line?
Yeah, in that moment, just turn around, walk away, look down. I don't even want to look at the crowd or any of that. It's strictly focus on making that kick. I was standing there, I just, prayed to God real quick, and I said, just please, just look out. And he sure did. It was just a great, awesome experience.
No, talking about the state kick last year, the Oregon kick, is it important for you just personally to never forget that, or try to forget it at some point? What, in terms of just what's rattling around in there? Do you always want to remember how that felt, or do you want to get rid of it at some point?
I think no matter how I look at the state kick, it's always something that's going to stay on my mind. That was sort of rock bottom for me in my career. It's a feeling that I never wished for anybody to see. Obviously it's you try to forget and think that it will help you move on, but it really doesn't. It really pushes me to be it's like your time to make up for what you've done wrong and sort of just grow into the kicker that I want to be.
Yeah, I guess I was wondering if, like the other night, 6 kicks, pressure kicks, game-winning kicks, if that eases it any, if that soothes it any.
I want to say yes, but I mean, it ultimately doesn't. That's one I always would want back.
Yeah.
But there's nothing I can do about it now except continue to grind and get better.
Matt could say in the past that he's brought in Justin Tucker to become super child. Like, what do you remember about that?
So that was a great conversation. We got on Zoom with him, and he just talked about his sort of preparation and his mindset and how he's in his whole world like the whole game. He doesn't care what happens with the offense. He doesn't care what happens with the defense. He's just there knowing that when his name is called, he's going to go make a play. And that was something that really stuck with me. Like, I have no control over what happens with the offense or the defense, but I can control when I'm out there kicking a field goal or kicking an extra point.
And then in that same vein, we always see Ryan Coe out there, during the warm-ups and things like that. How much of a help has he kind of been? I know he's obviously not playing, but I guess just with, you and other kickers in that room, how much of a help has he been?
I mean, they're all awesome. The competitive edge that came with Ryan was unmatched. It was a battle every day. And obviously, like when he got hurt, that was not how I wanted things to go. But he's been there supporting me, and I can't thank him enough for doing that.
No, when we talked after the Pitt game, I remember I just thought it was interesting how you said, you guys looked at just kicking in that stadium. You have the one way, each way was different. Like when you warm up here or in another stadium, do you go to somebody you probably don't go to Mac, but you go to Charlton or someone and say like, okay, I'm good from 50 yards this way and 52 that, do you report back to someone after warm-ups and say like, I feel like this is my distance today? Yeah,
so our special teams guy, Tim, he's watching us during warm-ups when we're going through our live op, and we'll push it back, see what the range is, and then he'll report that to Coach Porter.
What is your range? In perfect conditions.
In perfect conditions, I'm comfortable 52 in. Obviously, some of the balls I've hit don't really show that, but I know when I get a hold of the ball, I can make those.
Yeah, Max said yesterday when they get to the 30, they have total confidence that you're definitely good when they're at the 30. So I guess that makes it 47, 48.
47, yeah.
You're 6 for 6 in the 40s this year.
The 43-yarder to force overtime, like you said, you didn't hit it at your best, but did you know at a certain point, did you know off your foot it was good? Because you puppy cut it in there inside the right upright.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I knew it was perfect off my foot, but I looked up and the ball had sort of that spin that I've hit where it drops back off to the left. So my holder, Cole, he looked at me and he was like, that's in, and it was sort of reaching its apex, and that's when I knew. I was like, we got it.
We were typing furiously at that point. There was a lot of rewrites the other night. But so I don't know, were people mobbing you? When you made that, was anybody attacking you on your team?
There was a mob, but at the same time, I realized the job wasn't finished yet. So you have that sort of 5 seconds of fame and everybody's hype, but then you have to go lock back in, knowing that you're probably gonna have to go kick another one.
Yeah.
5 seconds of fame.
Yeah,
it's a good.
Yeah.
We good?
Appreciate it.
Great stuff. Great talk.